Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another edition of Clocking In. We are live on the True Heel Heat Sports Entertainment channel. We're talking about everything that happens in season 2, episode 4 of The Pitt. We want to thank you once again for joining us. Whether you're here live, whether you're watching on demand, we appreciate all the support. And when I say we, I mean, of course, I mean myself, I mean Chase Oliver. And Chase, how are you doing this fine Friday afternoon? Or well, for you, it's the morning. For me, it's afternoon.
Yeah, it's like going to become afternoon in like a couple hours, but man, it is hot today in California. You guys think that it's like nice and it's probably good weather. Sometimes in California, we get these weird heat waves in February and March, and especially in March, and it's just annoying, man. And I don't even know if we're going to get our traditional April showers this year. Normally, we get showers in April, but highly doubt it. I think it's just going to be hot for the rest of the year until I don't even know. September.
Well, as the joke goes, if you don't have April showers, you can't have May flowers. If there's no May
Yeah,
flowers, you don't get Thanksgiving. So
yeah.
that's good.
That
That's
that'd
good
be great. No Thanksgiving, sure. How you follow with that?
Come on, man. That's like three solid football games right there for true picks.
Yeah, that's true. But I'm fine if it doesn't happen in California.
It's like, what are we gonna do? Watch the Cowboys lose, the Lions lose.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's fine.
But
Not the end of the world.
I mean, talking about people losing, people winning, that's kind of how this week's episode of the Pit opens, right? So let's get into it. This was a fun episode. It has like a lot of additional character development and a lot of different things and patience that we see and so on and so forth. So we start off with the security guard, Ahmad. He's setting up the betting pool, and Ravi and Dana, they're explaining the tradition to Al Hashimi, who's like, "We didn't do this shit in the in the VA," and they're like, "Well, welcome to the pit. Here we figure out ways to gamble on things," and so Robbie decides that he's going to go with Westbridge is shut down because of the code black was caused by flooding. He says it's going to be down for 3 hours, and the pit's going to receive 20 new patients because of this. Al Hashimi, she's like, all right, well, if that's what you want to go with, I'll try to one up you. And so she says 4 hours, 30 patients, and also bets on flooding. So it's just kind of like, oh, okay, these two are they're starting to butt heads, but like you can see from her perspective, it's not, and we were talking about this last week. It wasn't a like an anger situation. Like she's not butting heads with him for she doesn't like him kind of thing. She's
Hmm.
butting heads with him just because like that's sort of the good nature thing that you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
And Robbie sort of is taking it a little bit more personal than than she is, to say the least. From there, she kind of asks him, do we're getting because we're going to be getting a lot more people with Westridge being closed to the code black. Do you want me to pull, or should we pull Langdon from triage? And Dana's the one asking Robbie, and Robbie's like, yeah, no, let's just ease him. Let's just ease him back into the day. we're not gonna we're not gonna deal with this guy. So it's a sort of a continuation of this through line where Langdon and Robbie are butting heads, even though Langdon doesn't even realize that they're butting heads. He's just like, it's like an out of sight, out of mind thing for Robbie, and then from there we see in the waiting room, we see Eyelash Girl, who put the mineral oil on the eyelashes about 2 hours ago, and it hasn't really done anything. And we also see the sister of the college student, the law school student who was tased. She's coming here to check on her brother. What were your thoughts on just like that kind of the interaction between Robbie and Al Hashimi, like that kind of, from her perspective, like kind of good natured thing? He's like, oh, this bitch is trying to fucking challenge me. Like, you can kind of see it on his face. He's like, yeah, I got one here. And just like this further development of the Langdon and Robbie thing, where Robbie is really trying to keep this guy out of the ER.
yeah. Dr. Alashimi. It was nice to see her character be not so robotic. These first 3 episodes, she's just been a robot. So to see that she has a humor function inside of her was pretty good. And I think that's where Robin was also surprised that like she would jump in or be into this type of thing instead of like shunning it and saying that this is a waste of materials, blah 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 blah. She was kind of in on the whole let's go bet, let's go, let me go put a bet in, and then I'll buy some drinks for you, Dr. Robbie, and stuff. So it was kind of like Robbie was like, okay, yeah, she's challenging me, but it was like also like, dang, this woman actually has a personality. She's not just going to say, well, AI will figure out this information and stuff. So that was something that was interesting for sure. And then the Langdon, it's just like Dr. Robbie just doesn't want to deal with him. He is so over Dr. Langdon. Alashimi obviously looks at Dr. Langdon, knows he's a talented doctor. I don't know how much does Dr. Alashimi know about Langdon. That's the one thing we haven't been revealed. Like
Right.
she doesn't like we don't know if she knows why Langdon was suspended or why Langdon has been gone. Like most of the cast knows, but does she know? Or maybe she does know, and she's very much like someone that's like big on second chances, or maybe she is someone also who has been recovering from substance and stuff maybe, but unlike Dr. Langdon, she wasn't stealing from patients, she was just having her own issues. So maybe she relates to Langdon to some degree, but also sees that like, hey, he's a really talented doctor. Why is this guy in triage? I need a guy like that back here in the ER room where we're getting patients and we're going to get much more patients and stuff. So yeah, Dr. Robbie, he does not want to deal with Langdon at all. He is just over him. And then the sister coming in, like, yeah, they both fuck off. This ain't the last time we're gonna see her. We're gonna see this family. This storyline is dragging. If you guys watch wrestling, it's dragging like the Wyatt Six and MFP
Damn, I don't think you're gonna be that.
No, this story, John, this storyline drags, bro. Like we get how many scenes in the future episodes dedicated to that scene, and it's like at some point, dude, just let the Wyatt Six have the lamp back, or just go to Walmart Wyatt Six and buy a new lamp. Like, I don't think Bray Wyatt will care. Bray Wyatt's not going to look down and be like, "Oh my god, you guys!"
The funny part of this is I don't watch SmackDown, so I have no idea what you're talking about with this.
Oh, dude, it's the worst storyline in wrestling. So the MFT Solo Sikoa's group's been feuding with the Wyatt Six. They stole the tag titles, which you think would be the big deal, right?
Sure.
No, Bray Wyatt's lamp. Solo Sikoa stole the lamp. Had this lamp since December, and we're in freaking March, and the Wyatt Six still don't have the fucking lamp. That's how it feels watching this storyline. It's like, okay, we get it. There's something wrong. We don't know what's wrong. Oh my god, what is this mental health storyline? What are we pushing here? Like that's to me, I'm just like, oh my god, we get it. Like Jesus. Fair. Yeah, this storyline drags. I'll just say that when you see the future ones, you guys are gonna be. I'm gonna be like, yep, that did happen, John. That did happen. Yep, I know what happened because we get reminded about it every freaking week for 10, 15 minutes. It's not interesting. It's just not.
Well, maybe one day, Chase will gain some respect for this storyline. However,
it has a great message. It's just we don't need the same plot. Like they get mad at everything. It's like, oh my god, like why are you dragging this storyline? Like,
well, one person that also needs a quick lesson in respect, but is also a quick learner, is Donnie, because he is interacting with that the deaf patient, the ASL patient, and during the course of the conversation, he has a translator there, but the patient eventually says, like, you can look at me, like you can speak to me. And on the one hand, I don't think that Donnie was doing it from a level of disrespect. He wasn't like, I don't want to talk to this person. He kind of was like, let me focus on the translator, and he was missing sort of the forest for the trees, sort of like if that expression is what fits. Where I'm going with this is that really he should be looking at the patient, and so he course corrects immediately, and it's like, I'm sorry, and he's speaking directly to her, and there is some level of obviously if someone is deaf or someone uses ASL, we don't know for certain, but many of them are able to read lips and are able to tell what the conversation is. But at the same time, there's so many words and there's so many mouth formations for words. It can be tough to tell, one, whether or not you're going to be able to properly talk to that person, and two, whether they even know how to read lips. So I can understand where Donnie was coming from, but as soon as she says, "You can look at me," he pivots and he turns, and that's sort of a foreshadowing of the differences between him and somebody else on the team.
Mhm.
And we'll get right into that, because we have Javati, who's asked about her birthday, and then she
Uh-huh.
says, she acknowledges, yes, it's her birthday, but like she still doesn't want to do anything. Big Wit says, "Oh, that makes you a Cancer," and she's like, "I didn't know you were a an astrology girly," and that's got to be incredible, because Santos is just like, yeah, he never doesn't shut up about shit. And so they do like they kind of play the joke of you guys are coworkers, but you sort of live together, because Wit's still staying at Santos's place as a carryover from the first season. But then Santos goes on and on about Wit being very friendly with the widow of the burn patient from season one, and Wit's kind of there. And like now she insinuates something that, like, she insinuates that they're fucking, basically, or that he's trying to get
Mhm.
in there. And Wit, like, everything about Wit's personality would tell you that that's not the case.
Yeah.
But Santos doesn't agree with that, and he's like, and then the poor part here is that Santos does not take the hint to shut the fuck up about other people.
Mhm.
Like, that's really the thing, is that she cannot, like, if she thinks she's got a funny through line, she does not know when to not be Santos, in essence. And the problem is that, as we will see, she mistakes people's reactions to her, especially from things like this, as dealing with or connected to something else that she did in season one, like the reporting of Langdon. It's going to come back. But when they all get tasked by Dana to go out and deal with some ambulances that are incoming, and Robbie says he wants them, as they're walking past, they run into Al Hashimi, and Al Hashimi, specifically to Santos, asks her about the charting. And
Mhm.
Santos is saying, like, yeah, I'm trying to get there. I'm trying to get there. And Al Hashimi, it's a great moment, great acting. Great. I loved this scene from the Al Hashimi perspective, because when she brings up continuity of care and the idea of billing, right now she brings up continuity of care first and then the billing aspect. So she's leading with what's important to her and what she thinks should be important to Santos, when she's receiving that information, is instead focusing on the billing. She's being sarcastic about it, and she's kind of giving a response that Robbie would give if somebody brought up billing. And Alashimi has like this little moment. If you guys get a chance to, either if you haven't watched it yet or you're rewatching it on rewatch, she has like this like little pause, and her eyes like change. She has like a little head shake, and like the
Mhm.
eyebrows lift a little bit, and she's like, "Oh well, yeah, that's what this person's like." It's more like, "Why are you being sarcastic to me? I'm your boss." And so then she points out to Santos that Santos should not want to continue this behavior of this charting issue, because she could potentially have to redo her R2 year, which would be terrible for Santos from a earning capacity, from a career capacity, from
Mhm.
all sorts of things. And that's going to change Santos's demeanor for the remainder of this episode. She's going to be in her head, and she's going to continue to treat people poorly, especially Mel, who is just like the most innocent child in the world, because of this. But where that goes from here is that then she goes outside and she's with Javati and she's with Wit and she's with OTC, and she tries to get Robbie to shit talk Al Hashimi, or at least like downplay her, right? She's like,
Mhm.
"Al Hashimi, how do we feel about her?" Like, and that kind of, you see that sometimes at work, especially when you're
Oh,
working.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like you try to get like the gauge of how one manager feels about another manager, kind of thing. Like that's very, but like that's like, we do that. I did that in retail. I'm sure you've done that in retail. I've done that in food service. I'm sure you've done, but like
Yeah.
that's, and not to say like one job is better or whatever than the other, but it's a different kind of job.
Yes.
I never did that in a law firm setting. I'll say that much. Like
Hmm.
like but like the idea that these doctors would do that, Javadi's correctly pointing out to Santos, that's like you're kind of being like a child. Like you're kind of being very, like shitty about this. So what were your thoughts on this whole interaction, the Santos's continual kind of treatment of Wit and slash other people, and then her interaction with Alashimi, and then trying to get Robbie to say things about Alashimi?
Yeah, they wove those two scenes so perfectly because they had it where Dr. Donnie, Nurse Donnie, I should say, wasn't looking at the ASL patient, and then course corrected, like you said, and started looking at her and started to communicate with her the way that makes the patient feel comfortable. And then we get to Santos, who is just one of the more abrasive characters on the show. Just like the theme with Wit. Wit's one of those nice guys. He is definitely like he's not even thinking about like sex. There are certain guys that you'll meet that literally are not horny. Like I know that's a weird thing to say. Like everyone get like, I just motherfucker's talking crazy. I know some guys. Maybe Wit likes the fact that this woman has a farm and it's the only thing that's close to his home, and he's
Yeah.
enjoying the fact that he gets to go to a farm. And hey, if he picks up sex along the way, that's pretty cool. Like the
And
girl's
then,
pretty cute.
like another aspect also is that when you're in a world of this medical world where there's so many things you don't know and you're still learning and things like that, it can be
Yeah.
nice to be able to have this farm situation where you're like, I know
Mhm.
exactly what needs to get done all the time.
Yeah, exactly. To what this is like probably like an escape for him and stuff. And like I said, if he gets sex along the way, he gets sex along the way. It is what it is. He's not. I truly think Wit is doing this because he really enjoys the farm life. Like he just doesn't want. He just enjoys the fact. But then of course Santos. She has to take it the extra mile. She does that with everyone. And then she tries to do that with Dr. Alashimi about the billing thing. But Dr. Alashimi is just like, look, you're a talented doctor, but there's some holes in your game. And I just want you to get better at it. And I've seen this before, and I've done this before. I'll get feedback on something, and then I just go into shutdown mode. I'm just like, fuck this. Like, you're giving me feedback. Are you kidding me? And then, like, you just have, like, not a poo poo face. You're just more annoyed, and you just go out and you do your job, but you're not even focused on everything else. You're focused on the one thing your manager told you, and that's what happens to Santos here. And of course, she wants Robbie, because she feels like, oh, Dr. Robbie and I, we have a good friendship. It's going to be like he's going to be on my side. And Dr. Robbie's just like, yeah, she's your new attendee while I'm on vacation. It is what it is. And it's like, oh, thanks, bro. I was hoping you would talk shit, but awesome. Maybe off the clock, Robbie would talk shit, but not on the clock. He wouldn't do that.
No. I mean, and the thing is, like, he, as much as he views a lot of these guys and gals as kind of like pseudo children, he understands that it's like it would be akin to him shit talking their aunt or uncle or something like that, and he wouldn't do that. Like he didn't do that last season with between him and Collins. Now, granted, there was a little bit of a deeper relationship between him and Collins, but like Robbie is, despite everything that's going on, he is professional enough
Mm-hmm.
to understand that like you're not supposed to do that. So
Yeah.
meanwhile, just before this, we had a woman that came in that she's a triage with Langdon. She wants to go to work. It's a Saturday, and Langdon's like, I don't know if that's the best thing for you, because like we've done tests, and there's no COVID, there's no flu, there's no RSV, but like that doesn't mean that there's not something else. And she's dealing with symptoms of pneumonia and things like that. So he wants to send her to from triage to the actual ER, where one of the other doctors will be able to get a better look and they'll be able to run better tests. It'll be interesting to see who ends up getting this person. But meanwhile, we have those 3 ambulances that are outside. First, Dana says it's just 2, but it turns out there's a third one. There's among them is Vince Cole, who is a idiot. We'll start there. Listen, I have all the respect in the world for people who are batshit insane and do parkour and things like that. I could never do that simply because of the idea that something like this could happen. He fell through the skylight of a florist shop 10 feet into thorns. And so they're immediately like, okay, yeah, we should figure out what we're going to do here. And he's got his streaming partner, I suppose, with him, who's trying to bring like a GoPro everywhere they go, kind of thing, which makes sense. Like that's kind of what you're. I mean, if you're just doing parkour for the love of the game, I get it. But like there are also people that people will stream anything these days. Meanwhile, there's 54-year-old Gene Samba, an older man with a history of hypertension, who like he might have the best lines of this entire episode where they're like, "Sir, like we're going to try to make sure you don't die today." And he's just like, "Why prolong the inevitable?" Like death comes for us all. And it's like, all right, cool. Like I like this guy. He's the memento mori is not something he is unfamiliar with. So they're treating the individual who has the skylight, the parkour events, and his girlfriend's like refusing to stop filming, and she's turning the trauma bay into like something it's not supposed to be. So they get her out of there, and they're trying to get him stable. Meanwhile, Samba, they're trying to figure out like what's going on with the STEMI, and at first the results come back saying that there's nothing there, and but Wit, he takes a look at the chart and he says, "What if it's posterior, like not the front? Like what if the signs are coming from the back?"
Mhm.
So he is trying to get Jesse to do it, but Jesse says, "No, you talk to your attending." So he goes and finds OTC. Robbie says, "Yeah, like that's cool with me. Check it out." So he's trying to get the leads on and everything, and he's having some issues. I think it's Perla. I think it's maybe Perla or Princess who comes and
Yeah.
helps him a little bit, and he finally gets it
No,
on.
no, it was Perla because
Oh,
Perla
what's
comes
Perla?
in.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, like
Princess is yeah.
yeah, she comes in and
Name.
she's all like, "Do you need help?" And then she goes like, and then Robbie's like, "Yeah, that'd be great." Not Robbie.
Wits like yeah, that'd be great.
That'd
And
be
then
great because I've
she
never
just
done
bails.
this
She's
before.
like, try that, then bails.
Yeah.
So he's able to get the leads on and do everything up for the posterior STEMI. And what he does there is he figures out, yeah, there's a heart attack that's happening. And while he's doing that, Samba goes into full blown cardiac arrest.
Mhm.
Uh, Whitaker calls out for help. Robbie and Jesse run in. They bring him back to life, basically. And Robbie's praising Whit for the good catch. Samba's just like, but I want to die. Like, Samba's just like, again, like with some of the best lines. He's the first. It's like, why do you want to prolong the inevitable? And now it's just like, I mean, I guess you guys brought me back to life. And then meanwhile, going back to our skylight person, uh, they realize they realize that there's a deep-seated piece of glass that's in his body, and we have James, the idiot, who is smart as shit but also an idiot, and he just removes the piece of glass, and now we've got all this hemorrhaging. And
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because like it happens like right after he tries to like you can see it on his face, like he's sort of like shitting on joy because of like just conversations that's happening, and like he's also got this like, I'm better than everybody because I know things, and there's things and there's things you got to find out still. So what were your thoughts on our skylight person, on Samba, on all of this, and like James getting humbled a bit, meanwhile Wit getting kind of like, it's another level up for baby OTC.
Yeah, the skylight person, what a goof. Like I was like, oh my god. And then the girl, like very interesting way for them to tackle, like, because the Pit, they like to tackle like modern storylines or modern trends, way to tackle social media and stuff, like just saying like what a dumb thing to do for clicks and stuff. Look, I'm the biggest Assassin's Creed fan, and I love the fact that I can parkour in that game. You know why I like it? Because I can do it in a video game. I'm not doing this in real
Right.
life. I'm not jumping from house to house. Like, shout out to those who do enjoy uh parkour and all that other stuff. I'm glad you have it, but do it safely and be smart. And especially, like, I think it was more of like, I think hospitals have been seeing an uptick of people streaming at the hospitals or TikToking at the hospitals. And it's like one of those things. I think it was a nice little PSA of like, hey, please don't do this. Don't be going live. This is not like, you're not someone filming a documentary. You are a civilian in our hallways. There's confidentialities that, because like the recordings, it can come back and bite a doctor, even if they did the correct thing. Like
Yeah.
that's the one thing. Like, for example, if she was in the room when that glass was removed, oh my goodness, that would have been
Mhm.
terrible for them.
Oh yeah.
But he was doing the correct thing. But it is what it is. The one thing that you forgot to mention though was Witt told Santos about this, and Santos was like, "Yeah, whatever. I gotta get back to my charting." And so Witt, has this great catch, which shows the difference of Witt. We don't know Witt's status. We don't know if we know that he's finally a legit doctor.
Mhm.
He finally got his first paycheck last Tuesday. That's all we know about Witt. But we know what Witt is. He shows cares for his patients. While Santos, because she was told her charting was bad, she was just done with this guy. Like she was just like, all right, it is what it is. Didn't want to give a second opinion, didn't want to check on anything. Witt kind of catches something, and then she's like, whatever. She just kind of walks away because she's like, I'm behind on my charting. And so then afterwards, Witt catches it, saves this guy's life. Dr. Robbie gives him the recognition, and Santos is over there fuming and stuff. And then, Witt, he's thinking like, oh yeah, dude, like one of my good friends will celebrate because this was our patient and I caught
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
She just gives him like are you fucking kidding me? This is like at work where it's just like you just got talked to about something, and then your one coworker, does something, and then you see the boss that just gave you the talking to giving you them love and praise, and you're just like, I don't want to celebrate your wins. Now, I do celebrate my coworkers' wins. I do believe that builds a healthy culture. It's not just about your wins; it's about the team wins. But Santos in that moment was like, not only was that our patient, but it felt like you went up to me. It felt like you went up to me, and then also too, she she likes Witt, but obviously she views Witt as a more inferior doctor to her, and so she was not having this. This was frustrating to her because it was an inferior worker on her level getting this done. So that to her also frustrated Santos 100%. But
Yeah, like I mean, you're right in pointing out about the connection there between Santos and Wit, and I think the idea there is the insinuation also that like Santos is kind of bitching about the idea that she would have to stay late and work on the charting, and it's like that's the job. Like
yeah,
that's the job. That's what you signed up for. And
mhm,
Wit's the kind of person where he's like, yeah, I mean, like if that's what it takes. That's what it takes. And it's like those are the people that can go far. Like there are people who excel in the medical field because they're brilliant, and there are people that excel in the medical field because they're consistent. And Wit is like very consistent, and he's the kind of person that like once you teach him something or he learns something, he's there to like he's gonna be able to figure it out. But speaking of Santos and not trying to know what's going on around her, they have the individual who was sent back from Langdon from triage with the pneumonia. Mel and Santos are working together on this patient, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with the pneumonia. Well, I mean, Mel's trying to figure out more than Santos, and Mel kind of picks up that there could be issues beyond just like the
mm,
pneumonia. Like a lot of times people think, or a lot of times people, like treat the symptom and you'll sort of treat the cause. And a lot of times you have to look deeper and see what's the root cause, and then say if I can stop the root cause, well then the symptoms go away anyway. Versus let's just try to mollify the symptoms, which is what the patient's asking for. Like the patient's asking for, in essence, like, can you just give me a nebulizer or albuterol and send me on
yeah,
my way? And they're like, yeah, no, that's not gonna. Well, Mel is like, yeah, that's not gonna work for me, chief. And Santos continually is trying to get back to the charting and whatnot. And it's Mel who says, listen, what if it's something like if it's not the differential, it won't be in the diagnosis kind of thing, where she's saying, check behind her teeth. And Santos is like, why would we do that? And Mel says, well, it could be bulimia, or it could be some kind of eating disorder or something like that, but that's forcing the vomiting. And at first Santos is like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And Mel's pointing out, well, if you're vomiting, the fluid could potentially, when it goes back, it can go back down the wrong pipe. and that's what can cause the pneumonia. And I'm not somebody that has or has had a eating disorder. However, I have had a pretty bad reflux disease for many years, so I know the idea of having the need to vomit multiple times due to food and food related stuff. So I can appreciate the fact that, like, yes, it has actually done some damage to that like flap that controls between your stomach and your lungs. So I can appreciate from Mel's perspective, like how she's thinking, not even necessarily outside of the box, but she's just like, what are additional causes of pneumonia? Because like realistically, pneumonia is just fluid in the lungs. Well,
Yeah.
fluid in the lungs can happen from a wide variety of ways. And if everything we're seeing says that it's not the normal ways, well, we have to think what are other ways. And Santos doesn't want to. I mean, it's not necessarily that she doesn't want to. It's more like that she just doesn't care. Like she doesn't. It's that she doesn't
Mhm.
have the time at the moment, and she's also brushing away Mel repeatedly throughout this episode when Mel's talking to her about the deposition and just like talking about a patient that's hitting on her and stuff like that. And we see that Mel is noticing also that in the African American community, in the Black community, women don't get this level of care or diagnosis sometimes. So let's try to figure out how to change that.
Mhm.
How we can be the thing that kind of pushes against that. Which, similar to your point about the PSA about streaming, this in the ER in a hospital setting, this is also a way to try to like create that sort of groundswell or at least
Yeah.
lend support to a worthy cause. So, what were your thoughts on this patient and sort of her acknowledgement once they bring up the fact that, hey, you've got a problem, and like her willingness to deal with it, and
Mhm.
and just like that combination of Mel and Santos working together.
Yeah, this was actually one of my favorite moments of this episode. I thought it was very strong because this woman, like, obviously is a workaholic. Like, she just works hard. She goes to the gym. She wants to work. It's a 4th of July, and I think like in the Pitt universe, it's on a Saturday. Like, it's on a weekend too. So it's like she wants to work on 4th of July on a Saturday. Like, kudos to her. But Jesus, like that's something that I'm just like, that's a no for me, dog. Like, I ain't doing that. Like, I ain't working no extra hours on a Saturday on 4th of July weekend. Missed me with that. But I thought it was a very, very interesting dynamic that they had here, especially because, like, Santos, she's just so over it. Not only did Wit, like, or I think at this point in the episode, Wit hasn't revealed that, like, he solved that issue. It's just more that, like, Santos is just, like, trying to move on because she's like, I got to get through my charting. I got to do my
Mhm.
charting. And Mel, she's doing a great job of actually wanting to understand and know the patients. One of the only few moments of the season where Mel actually is being a doctor and not like going to every character like, oh, I'm so nervous about my deposition and everything that's going on. It's like, okay, we get it. She has a deposition. You have to remind us, writers. We're not two. We get it. We understand. Like Mel's character this season is she's worried about something. And we don't know, and it could cost her a job. Who knows? But like I liked how Santos, like not Santos, I liked how Dr. Mel was like really wanting to look more into the issue. And then Santos like just give her a proper medication and move on. But it was just something that was really cool. And especially like talking about bulimia, which is like, it's a disease that was very like not disease, I guess like what would you call it? It's not really a disease in a sense. It's more like a mental disorder or it's kind of some, I guess it's a disease in a sense, huh? I can't remember what it is. It's like there's like a certain phrase for it, but I'm forgetting the medical term for it. But it was something that was big when I was growing up. Like people like starving themselves or forcing food
Well,
out of their mouth.
there's bulimia, anorexia. Is that what
Yeah,
you're?
yeah, bulimia and anorexia. Yeah, isn't it like what's like the official term for it? Like I know it's not like is it considered a disease? Them forcing food out of their mouth?
Well, I mean, I think it would just be considered eating disorder, or be
Yeah,
just
eating disorder. Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's the term, eating disorder. Yeah, like bulimia and anorexia, because like we learned that the woman is forcing food out of her mouth, like because she wants to stay fit and stuff, and she doesn't realize she's doing more harm to her body and stuff, and it's because she's such a workaholic. She just feels like she needs to do this. Like it's just like one of those things. Like if she can't make the gym, that's like her going to the gym is forcing it out. And it's kind of it's kind of like I'm just being honest. Like this is like some like this is the first time I've seen it, at least in a TV show, that they use a person of a different race that isn't white doing like bulimia or
Yeah,
anorexia storyline.
yeah,
Because normally it's a white person. It's like one of those where it's like, oh yeah, typical white blonde girl needing to look skinny and fit. But it was like interesting that they chose an African American woman who's like a big workaholic who like if you just showed me the picture of this woman, oh yeah, she looks put together. Like she's
right,
fine.
right, yeah,
She has everything under control. There's nothing wrong with this woman. But the fact that they used that as like, oh, this woman has bulimia, that caught me by surprise. And it was an interesting twist. And it's something where it's like, it was cool that Dr. Melkeen wanted to get to the bottom line of this because, like you said, most African American, like it was like a PSA, most African American women don't get treated for any underlying common symptoms or diseases. And we find out that this woman, yeah, she has an eating disorder. But if you would have just showed me a picture of that woman, I would not believe she has an eating disorder. So that was kind of cool that they went down that route instead of the typical hospital storyline. Like, bro, whenever I see a skinny white girl, I already know up eating disorder. This woman, I literally thought that this was going to be like, all right, another multi-layer episode plot. We're going to figure out what's wrong with this woman. We're going to figure out that this is wrong with her. This is wrong with her. Oh, she's getting surgery. And then it just turns out, no, she has an eating disorder. And then she asked for a therapist and she says, can I get a black one? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. We can schedule that for you and everything. It's like, wow, that was a swerve I wasn't expecting. I was literally expecting her to be in the hospital bed for at least 3 episodes. And then when we review episode 7, I'll tell you, all right, John, I'm done with the storyline.
No, they moved that along. Meanwhile, we start from there to get like a little bit more. We were serious, and now they're going to try to get us into a little bit of levity and a little bit of lightness. We had McKay's back and forth with James about the intubation. And she's like, all right, fine, I guess I'll teach you how to do it real quick. And there's that moment we have Joy accidentally cutting herself, and so now she's going to be treated like as though she's a patient. Because of that, we're going to have a little learning moment for Nurse Emma, where she's going to be drawing blood for one of the first times. And I'm kind of the sick freak that when they got to draw my blood and things like that, I like watching because I'm like,
I do it all the time.
I'm like, this is insane. Like the ability of this tiny needle to puncture my skin in such a way that's such a small hole, and then you see the blood go through. It's like it's fascinating to me from like just the physics standpoint, the physiology, like what is causing the blood to just shoot into the thing from there, like it's a block and then it's a release, like all that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's happening. But then when Dana is correctly pointing out to her, like the lab isn't going to take it unless it's got your initials on it. She goes to like write her initials. She drops it. It rolls, and then the wheel of a passing cart hits it. And Dana has like just this beautiful deadpan. She's just like environmental on North 4. And it's just like, oh yeah, we got to have somebody specific to come and clean up the blood on the floor. And Emma's like, I'm so sorry. And Joy, who's just like, just this not stoic isn't what I'm looking for, like just this dry, like she's such a dry character, but it's great. She's just like staring at Emma like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I gotta take more blood out. But we have more and more like kind of these funny situations, but they're balanced by, well, we'll get through a couple more of the funny ones. We have the as I wrote down in my notes, Bone Guy social calendar, which is we have the patient who had a tailbone issue and he was trying to get an x-ray. The x-ray was taking some time. It finally comes back. He's trying to explain to McKay that he needs this to move along, and she's like, well, just take a rest for 6 weeks. And he's like, 6 weeks, lady, I don't know if you know this, but I'm basically the gigolo of Pittsburgh here with the older crowd, and I have a very busy social calendar where basically insinuates that he is banging some chick, could be the same chick, could be a different chick, every weekend. And it's like, damn, all right, sir, you're getting after it. So he is like, we gotta figure this out. And so McKay's like, well, there is a little bit more of a painful thing, but it could potentially solve it a lot faster. And he's like, cool, let's do that. And so they do that. He is going to be able to to sit properly and maybe, lay a little, do what he does on his social calendar a little bit better. And McKay also gets to continue to flirt with the soccer dude because she's letting him know that his foot isn't like that messed up. And then he's kind of saying, "Oh, well, I guess I won't be seeing you again because I'm not going to be here. I have to come back and things." And so she, in essence, sets up a date with him
Yeah.
going to an art gallery, which I thought was kind of cool for McKay. And it's a great moment because I didn't catch it when I first watched it, but I was watching on the rewatch. I was doing a
Hmm.
quick rewatch this morning, and while she's walking away from talking to him, like you see her from the back, but like she covers her face with her hands, like, "Oh my god, I'm so embarrassed." Like, one, what did I just do? Like, it's a patient,
Hmm.
like I shouldn't be doing it. And then two, also for McKay, on a personal level, it's been a while since she's had any kind of romantic thing or anything like that. So like it's just like that level of, oh god, like there's nerves that's coming in, right? So there's that, and we have Nurse Emma, and then we have the humor of the Dr. J situation. So there was that lady, the mineral oil not working. She comes
Hmm.
back from the waiting room to triage. Langdon's like, "All right, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna have to shave these eyelashes down." She's like, "Bring me Dr. J. Like, bring me Dr. J."
I was
And
like, who's Dr. J?
Langdon's like, again, Langdon was like, "Who the fuck is Dr. J? Like, what the
I
fuck
was saying the
is
same thing. I was trying to think of like, did I miss a cast member? Or like, I'm like trying to think too. I'm like, who's
he's like,
Dr.
who the fuck
J?
is Dr. J?" So she finally shows him, and it's fucking Giovanni. And he's like, "Oh my god, this is hilarious." And you can just imagine Langdon's thought process because it was what I was thinking. And I have a feeling it's what he was thinking. If this had been season one, the idea of like Langdon would have immediately found Robbie and been like, "Dr. J." He would have been like, "Dr. J." Look at
Hmm.
this shit. It's hilarious. And Robbie would have died laughing. Like, it would have been a hilarious moment. They would have politely roasted Javati a bit and then, been about their business. But he can't do that. You can kind of see it in his eyes like, fuck, I wish I could laugh about this with
Yeah,
Robbie, but I can't.
exactly.
So he goes and gets Javati. The patient is like, "Dr. J." Giovanni's like, Giovanni's like, "Damn, girl." Like, so they deal with the situation exactly the same way that Langdon wanted to, but like the patient is a little more trusting. She's been watching Giovanni on, I guess, TikTok or Instagram or whatever, and Langdon, like, he's trying, like, he's just like but he can't help himself. He's like, "So how many followers do you have?" And she's like, "More than you would think, Dr. Langdon." Like, motherfucker. Like, so they deal with the situation. The woman's like, "Damn, these eyelashes look terrible." Can I could still glue fake eyelashes on. It's like, that's what fucking brought you here. Like,
Yeah.
what's wrong with you? So how do we feel about these, like, kind of these multiple moments of levity building up towards a bit more seriousness to close us out?
Yeah, Dr. J. That was like I was like Landon, who is Dr. J? And then when it turns out to be Javati, and of course Javati would have a TikTok where she became popular with a bunch of people, and because she's the youngest person there. She knows the trend, she knows what she's doing. So it was just funny. And I just love how Langdon gave the solution a gajillion times to this woman. And this woman was not having it. Dr. J says it, and she goes, "Yes, of course, Dr. J, genius." And it's like, Landon's like, "The fuck is this? Like, this guy, this woman really, like, huh?" Like, power of social media for you. Kids are very influential when it comes to that. They believe almost anything that you see on that app when it comes to it. But yeah, no, it was very, very interesting, that plot. Dr. McKay, flirting with the soccer guy. Look, there's been times where I've met a nurse that, like, and this is different, but I've met a nurse that's single and they like talking to me, and then I can tell when they're flirting, like they're being very, very, very flirty with the situation, and it's not a bad thing. I'm cool with playful flirting and stuff, but I can tell when a nurse is thirsty and stuff. It's fine. It's fine. Women are allowed to hit on men just like men are allowed to hit on women and stuff. And especially for nurses, and especially if they are dealing with old people and they see a nice younger person, in this case, a very athletic, possibly pro soccer player, like looks like he's a pro, looks like he plays for whatever MLS team Pittsburgh
Yeah, he
has.
does. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I would, if I was Dr. McCann in that situation, sure, and I haven't gotten action, and I'm single. Yeah, I would flirt with this very nice looking man sitting on the table. Absolutely, like there's no doubt about it. Like, what are we doing here? But yeah, no, these were nice, fun, harmful moments of the show. That's what the Pit does good. Is like they love to have like not like there'll be like there'll be scenes of like machines going off. Blah, 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 blah. You're like freaking out about something, and then later on there's just like like let's flip a coin to see who gets this donut. Like Donnie, like Donnie's like the eater this season. Like he's eating donuts and hot dogs, like, and he's like blaming his kid because he has to eat all this food. It's like the post dad bod syndrome. Like I was joking with one of my friends. So like I don't know why I become a like especially for my married female friends, their husbands will get fat. And I'm someone that has been good about losing weight. They will come to my female friends will come to me and said, my husband's gotten fat. Chase, can you help them lose weight? And I tell them, how do you want me to help them when they have to take care of their kid? Like, and then also it's hard. Like when you have a kid, it's really hard because you start to just eat whatever. Like you're focusing on feeding the kid first, and then you're second, and so that you don't get the proper nutrition. So I remember I told my one friend, I sat her down and I said, look, he's not going to lose the weight until like your kid's much older. And I'm not saying like older, but when he can actually have time for himself. He doesn't have time for himself, but I can give you stuff that I can give you a list of foods he should and shouldn't eat. And maybe that can help out in the weight loss. But if you're asking me to like go to the gym with him, I ain't going to work around his schedule and your guys' schedule for the kids. Cause like, no offense, one, they're not my kids. Two, I got a life too. I don't want to freaking dedicate like, well, 5:30 is the only time. Like, no, I don't want to go to the gym at 5:30, especially because and I have to go twice, and you guys ain't paying me. I ain't doing this favor. No, so I don't know why my every time like that's why I don't post anything about my weight loss stuff because then I get my female friends saying, "See, Chase," I'm like, yeah, here's the difference. Chase doesn't have a kid. Like I'm just dating a girl. And we
pick up
we
the
do,
kid and put him down. Pick up the kid.
yeah,
Down. Pick up
yeah. No, like I don't have a kid, so I can focus on Chase. I don't have to focus on because trust me, if I had a kid, whatever my health is at, like besides like stuff that could not keep me alive, but what like the body stuff, like being healthy, now I could put that to the side because I gotta make sure my kid's getting the right nutrition. Like my nutrition doesn't matter, but it happens to every male. You just have to find a way to have good balance. But Donnie's not. He's just eating all this food like a monster, like Pac-Man.
So that takes us from lighthearted levity and jokes into a little bit more serious stuff. We have an issue with the college student who was tased. His sister's like, what is going on? They're trying to help her understand. And they say, hey, we're going to take him for a CT. And when he comes back, maybe we'll get some more information. We'll have more information. The CT comes back. There's nothing wrong. So they're trying to figure out what's going on. And Javati calls in the psychiatric help. And the sister's like, do you guys think it's mental health? And they're like, well, we just kind of want to check all bases. And the doctor isn't able to, the psychiatrist isn't able to speak with the guy because he's still sedated. Then he goes and finds Javati and he's like, hey, maybe next time wait until he wakes up to call me, which it's like, all right, I get it. The guy's got to wheel himself around the hospital. Like it's kind of annoying. But Javati's like, oh shit. Like, and how that slips Javati's mind, I don't know. I don't really know, but like, I think that's sort of supposed to be a little bit of foreshadowing for things that's going to happen in the future. But the psychiatrist goes and he finds Robbie and he's talking to Robbie about different things, and especially the motorcycle patient who passed away, and they're kind of going back and forth. And Robbie has one of the better lines because the psychiatrist is saying, well, you can still, we have a new therapist who started, and you can do a lot of work with her. And Robbie's like, yeah, I'm headed out, bro. Like I'm out of here once this is over.
Yeah.
I'm on the sabbatical. And the guy's like, well, you can still do Zoom treatment. And Robbie has like one of the best lines in the episode where he's just like, the motorcycle trip is Zoom treatment, bro. Like, and I was like, oh, that's a good lie. I love that because I was like, Robbie is the kind of person where, like you got to have bars and you got to be able to bar up people at any point in time, especially when they're trying to assault the castle. And like you got to play defense. You got to be ready to give them the whatsy toosie. So shout out to Robbie for having the jokes. How did you feel about Robbie and one, the schizo patient, but which didn't really get us far, like it didn't move it along, but like
Yeah.
and I
The
kind
MFT
of
still
get
have the
where you're
lamp. The
coming from.
MFT still have the lamp, John. They still have the lamp. We don't know what's going on here.
But how did you feel about Robbie and the psychiatrist and Robbie's like continual just downplaying of what's going on with him and everything that's happening with him?
Yeah, because obviously, we know Dr. Robbie has some mental health issues. Our depression, like he definitely has depression, like 100% has depression, especially after season 1. But the thing is, all his coworkers and his friends, they actually care for him. Like they want Robbie to be better, and they're just afraid with this trip, something bad could happen, or like things are not going to go like. Because let's be real, motorcycle, it is something dangerous. It's not the easiest thing to ride. I used to ride motorcycles, and I don't anymore because I did get into a motorcycle accident. Thankfully, I was fine. I just had a bad so I was riding my bike and stuff. It was a very nice bike. It was a Victory Custom. It was so nice. It was such a nice bike and stuff. It was like one of the things that like I got it for high school graduation and stuff. And like I always rode with the helmet though and stuff. So I had like kind of like a Harley style bike for people who don't know bicycles. Victory's like an off brand of Harley, but I loved how this bike ride. It rode better than a Harley. So I was riding to I used to do like this. I used to pick up shifts at this warehouse down the street of my house. So I used to just go take the back roads and then go work at the warehouse for like 4 10. Like honestly, this job was sick. Like I could show up for 2 hours. If I was done, I'd be like, yo, Ernie, I'm done. And he'd be like, later, Chase, thanks for coming in. And I'd be like, thanks, man. And so like it was cool because like you could work whatever and you still got paid whatever. You didn't get scheduled. You just showed up when you want to show up. You just have to make sure you only work 5 days a week. Like you couldn't work 7 days a week. You could only work 5 days or something like that. So I was driving to that place and this car didn't realize that the light wasn't green. And so I was riding. And so then later on, I turn, I do my proper turning. This person doesn't. And then boom, like he hits my bike. And then and he was driving like an SUV. So then I fall off my bike. Thankfully, helmet, like I said, helmet was on, bam, bam, this. And then I got a big backscape. And then my bike just got ran over, destroyed. And so I got insurance money to replace the bike. And then I remembered like after I healed up and everything, it took like 3 months to heal and everything. No serious injuries or anything, thank the Lord. But then I remember when I went to go test ride this Harley because there's a Harley down the street from my house. So I was like, oh, I'll get a Harley. It's fine. I got this insurance money from the bike to cover a new bike and stuff. And then all of a sudden I was scared. I couldn't ride the bike anymore. I was just like, I can't, like I was doing the test ride with the guy. And then later on, I just stopped as we were about to enter the freeway. And then I go, yeah, man, I can't do this. And he goes, you good? I'm like, nah, dude. I said, I just got trauma of this turn. I can't make this turn no more. Like I can't, I could ride my bike going straight. I can ride a bike going straight. Sure. I can't ride a motorcycle turn anymore. It just freaks me out. Like I just feel I'm going to get hit again and stuff because there's so much blind sides and stuff. So, it's uncontrollable when you're on that device, the motorcycle. There is freedom to it. There's certain traffic laws you don't have to worry about. You get to move at a different speed than everyone else.
Even out of traffic.
Yeah, but you're not safe. You don't have the confines of a nice little safe area, a nice little safe box that kind of protects you from all the other damages. And Dr. Robbie, what if he's not in the right headspace? What if he's not thinking correctly while riding? This is what his friends are worried about. They actually care about Dr. Robbie. They care about his well-being as a human being because of how he treats them. So they just want to make sure Dr. Robbie is doing the correct things. They just want to make sure like Dr. Robbie is really mentally stable before going on this trip, because I mean, these people don't want to be doom and gloom, but they're thinking this might be the last time we see this guy. Like, we might not see this guy ever again. Now, guys, Pitt, they don't know, but the Pitt got renewed for season 3. Ain't no way they're writing off Noah Wiley on it for season 3, buddy. Could get out of here. But still, you know,
they might have him out of season 3, or they might have him like maybe halfway through season 3 he returns, something like that. They might do somebody. You never know. You never know. You never know.
No,
you gotta try new things.
I'm not clocking in if Dr. Robbie's there. I'll be like, they're like, Chase Clock. Nope, Dr. Rabinovich not there. I'll clock in when he clocks in.
Don't worry, if that happens, I'll cover the reviews without you.
No, I'll be here. I like the show. I'm just saying, I'm a Dr. Robbie fan. He's the reason why I'm watching the show.
Well, there is somebody else that you're a fan of on this show for sure. And while this is not like, it's not played for funds, it is played for a serious, tender moment where our dog Louie, he is having a conversation with Whit and with James about just life, and like they're doing some draining on his teeth for why he's there, and James is trying to like be like, oh, I can take the lead on this, and he's trying to answer questions there, and Whit's just like, listen, like we're gonna take this a little slow, but we're also going to, you know, like we're not gonna be like too big for our britches. Louis is the guy, and Louis also asks about Collins. And we get a little information on what happened to Collins and why she's not here. And at first, there was this idea of, oh, well, you know, it's only one shift, it's only one day, so maybe it just isn't a day that she works. But we find out that Collins finished her residency and she moved and she adopted a baby to be closer with her family. And Robbie's in the background of this scene, and he's able to hear this and see this. The other thing about Louis in this episode is Langdon comes to check on him, and he actually, Langdon comes to check on him, and and Louis is talking to him, and Langdon's kind of expressing just like some issues in general with life and the kids and everything like that, but particularly he talks about his lawn. And I thought it was interesting. Louis doesn't really talk about like or try to give him any assistance or anything when it comes to the kids, which, as we find out later, is oof. But he does talk to Langdon about the lawn. And at first you're like, wait a minute, Louis, what did this happen? What did Louis become like fucking like Scotch lawn guy? Like when did this happen? And he goes, yeah, I used to be a gardener, a caretaker, a groundskeeper. And it's like, wow, like you get like this little glimpse into what life was like for Louis before the alcoholism, before the addiction really hit. And then kind of coming out of that, you know, I thought it was a really cool thing that he's having this conversation with Langdon, because Langdon was like a top-notch doctor, or considered publicly a top-notch doctor, before the addiction happened, or before the news broke about the addiction.
Yeah.
Langdon has this conversation with Louis. We see what life was like for Louis beforehand. Langdon leaves that room and runs into Al-Hashimi, who overrules Robbie and says, we need you to leave triage and join us.
Yeah, we're starting to get more patients,
because we're going to start getting more patients from Westbridge. And that was like the start of the episode, and that's leading us towards the end of the episode. So what were your thoughts on the conversation with Louis, and where we're going to see Langdon move forward in this season?
Yeah, I like how Louis was having that conversation with Whit, wondering what happened with Dr. Collins and stuff. And then Dr. Robbie, obviously, you know, he loved Dr. Collins. That was a love interest of his. So kind of hurt hearing her name and hearing that she has left. And so you kind of see where it's like, hey, there's a reason why your teammates are worried about you, Dr. Robbie. Like you're going on this trip, and like you're getting emotional still about this woman that has left. Like what's going on here? And then afterwards, like Dr. Langdon, you know, asking about, you know, talking about his actual life. And Louis kind of, you know, talked about the lawn and stuff. It was kind of like a life metaphor. And it's just, Louis can't, like, the thing about alcoholics is this. they're the they're so good at giving out advice, but that doesn't help their problems. Like sadly, I've had a friend that has been battling alcoholism for
Mm.
years. And this guy will give you some of the best advice. And then you'll stop and you say to yourself, why don't you follow this advice? Like, why don't you follow what you're saying instead of just binge drinking at 7 in the morning? Like this, like bro, this guy, like John, like I straight up, this guy gets like a shooter for breakfast and stuff. Like he'll just be doing like, yeah, he'll just grab like 2 fireball shots and that's his breakfast. And I'm like, my God, like you need that to get through the day, like Jesus. But I thought it was a very good metaphor that Louis said about the lawn and taking care of what's important and making sure all the blades are even and stuff, because it's kind of like it's not really talking about the lawn, it's talking about the person and stuff.
Right.
And that gives Dr. Langdon like this more of an initiative to, apologize for his actions for last season, saying, you know what, I gotta apologize for this. I gotta even out the blades. I gotta stop being afraid of cleaning up of mowing my lawn. I actually gotta just get on the lawnmower and start pushing it. So really like the interaction between Langdon and Louis here. Thought it was very, very, very strong.
Yeah, and I thought it also did a good job of highlighting a little like very kind of throwaway scene or throwaway bars or dialogue in the first season where Langdon is trying to figure out like if he should get a dog and whether the kids would get a dog, and like Dana's like, I don't think you should be getting a dog. And you kind of see like it was used to sort of highlight the kind of manicness a little bit of somebody who's experiencing being high on drugs. And he's like, we should get a dog. I should get a dog. Like kids would love a dog. And so now we find out he did actually get the dog, and the dog is like tearing up part of the lawn. So I thought it was just an interesting way to just continue that bit of information that we got about Langdon and things that happened in season 1, and to help connect 1 to 2. And like that's how you build continuing stories, and you add layer to characters. But adding layers to characters is something that this season is trying to do with Slow-Mo, and is trying to slowly build up more and more stuff about her, because she's been kind of in the background for a lot of episodes. And here she gets a good chunk of things to talk about, because she is dealing with the individual, Mr. Diaz. He has diabetes. He's got a lot of issues with the diabetes. But because he and the wife work multiple jobs, they don't make enough to they don't have enough to purchase insurance, but they also don't get insurance through any of their jobs because they're all part-time jobs and things like that. So they kind of are like in a barely making ends meet kind of situation. And so because of that, he acknowledges when he's talking to Slow-Mo and Joy that he has not been taking all of the medication. Like if it was let's just say 100 milligram pill, he's cutting it in half. And instead of taking 100 milligrams a day, he's taking 50 milligrams a day, which is very dangerous, especially with diabetes. And we can see that's part of why he's in the hospital right now. So his wife has arrived. He doesn't want his wife and his daughter to know about what he's been doing with medication, but also when they're talking about these things, you kind of figure out, oh, this is going to be really expensive. So Slow-Mo tries to work with the people, the hospital administration, to try to bring people in that bring help and bring money in that way. Meanwhile, the daughter tries to create a GoFundMe, which really pisses the dad off from the perspective we don't want to accept charity kind of thing. And there's a back and forth. The counselor, Noelle, clarifies the family doesn't qualify for assistance because they earn too much to be able to get the program, but like they're not enough to get the insurance. And so it's similar to the commentary on people acting up in waiting rooms and in ERs, similar to commentary about how we need to try to treat Black women better, particularly when it comes to pain and eating disorders and things like this. Now we have a little bit of an indictment of the American healthcare system, which, depending on how you view it, is a good thing, bad thing, whatever the case may be. So I want to get your thoughts on this development for slow-mo, the diabetes patients, and the healthcare system.
Yeah, man. I felt bad for, the patients in this situation. I've been in this situation too where I was working like a full-time job and I had like coverage and like it was great. Then afterwards, I lost that coverage and I was going through it because I couldn't get my proper medications. Thankfully, I was able to re-enroll into certain things, but also too, since I do what's it called? Freelance work. I do a lot of
Mhm.
independent work. So there's certain things where it's like, hey, I have to like pay for certain things. Thankfully, I'm able to pay for my health insurance and stuff. Trust me, I wish I could just afford the smallest health insurance, but with all my health issues, I need to have one of the higher tiers just in case something happens. So I pay a hefty penny to our government for it and stuff. But it's a tax break at the end of the day. Like I get some money back from it. But yeah, no, I felt bad for this family, and it's a very prideful family, and it's like it's something that is so true. Like when people watch it, they go like, "Why does the dad just take the GoFundMe?" He doesn't want to be looking like they're struggling or there's something bad about them and stuff. And then I liked how Slomo was thinking about them as people and trying to make sure to help them make sure because like this is a family. The daughter, she's like a high schooler. There's a lot of financial needs she has. They both work multiple jobs just to keep their head above water, and
Yeah.
obviously they're doing a good enough job, like to in a sense. But when there's a person with health issues in the family, like these are situations where it's like where you work multiple jobs and you're able to still provide for your family. These situations are good when you're like how do I say it? This is good when you're like don't have health issues, but if you do have health issues, that's where it provides a problem. That's where an issue becomes a thing. So, yeah, I know it's just one of those things. It's just very interesting. It was just very interesting. But I like slow mo's very immediate intention and stuff. Like she like last season they talked about she was moving too slow between patients,
Hmm.
but this time we're actually seeing why sometimes maybe she is taking a while in between patients because
Yeah.
he was trying to help them find the necessary uh needs for their health.
Yeah. And that leads us to the final scene of the episode.
Yeah.
This is some crazy shit happening here. We have an old patient returning to the hospital. There was a rash. There was a problem earlier in the season. Langdon, treated the person in triage and then kind of sent them on their way. They are now returning, and she says to Donnie goes and gets Langdon, and she says to Langdon, you told me to come back if it went beyond the Sharpie line. And I have had, multiple times where like, not multiple, but like, I guess over the course of 10 years, because I've known my wife now for 10 years, um, where she's, something has happened either to a sibling, to me, or whatever. Like there's some kind of weird shit on the body, and Colleen will circle it and then be like, all right, we're going to pay attention to this. And if it goes
Hmm.
beyond, then we know there's an issue.
Oh yeah,
And
my
so,
cousin's on her side. Like if something's wrong, she'll send me like she'll do the same thing, but like I'll take a picture of it, and then
yeah.
and then she'll send the picture with like an edited mark, and she goes, if it goes above this, like go to Kaiser, and I'll be like, thank you, cousin
So like
Caitlin, I appreciate
basically
you.
like let's say like this is where the Sharpie thing is on my arm. And Langdon pulls back the little cover, and from here where it started, it's like basically the equivalent of being down here. And so Langdon's like, "Oh boy, like this is not good." So,
Not good at
Donnie,
all.
not good at all. So Donnie suggests that the patient may have MRSA, which is a crazy. It's a very antibiotic resistant. It's a really bad staph infection.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you believe him, it almost killed CM Punk, or AJ thought it was going to kill CM Punk. Langdon, Langdon says it could be something worse than MRSA, and it's like, oh shit, what could this possibly fucking be? And that's like, and they're like, let's go find dad. Let's go find dad. Where's dad? Where's dad? Like, where's Robbie? And then it just cuts to black, and you're like, oh shit. So just after we had like, we had seriousness, then we had levity, then we had learning about ourselves with Louis and all that kind of thing, and now we're like right back into it.
Yeah,
So what were your thoughts
cliffhanger.
about like this kind of cliffhanger and then episode 4 as a whole?
Yeah, no, when I saw the patient with the leg, I knew
Yeah.
she was coming back. Like, I was like, we're not done with this storyline. You're going to be back. And she came back and that expanded. Oh my, I can't wait to talk about episode 5. It like if there's a reason why Dr. Robbie's the best character on the show. Episode 5 is like one of the main reasons why it's like, yeah, this is why he's the best character on this show. It's Dr. Rabinovich by a country flipping mile. But yeah, no, but yeah, no, like I was just like, oh my god, like that looks gnarly. And then finally, they're all freaking out, and of course, it's just typical Pitt, like nice little cliffhanger to end the episode. And overall, I liked episode 4 better than episode 3. I thought episode 4 was, like now we're getting into the seriousness of like, okay, like now, like episode 3 was a nice little like I said, Pitt does a good job of you don't need to watch the previous season to enjoy this season. And that's what kind of episode 3 was for. It was designed for, because this is how unfortunately people have to design their shows. They have to design and write their shows because there's certain people that refuse to watch previous seasons. Like for example, Stranger Things is the biggest example. The last season of Stranger Things, with all the 3 parts they divided it into, they had to write so much shit because they know there's people that, 1, never seen Stranger Things, 2, stopped at a certain point watching Stranger Things. So they have to write certain things where the characters normally wouldn't have to explain this to us. We know what a wormhole is, but yeah, a wormhole. It's like, why are you explaining this? Like, it's for the people that refuse to watch the show, but they have to be in the know. They have to be in the conversation at work. They want to be able to talk about Stranger Things with everyone else. So they're so lazy because and it's not just the people that talk about the show at work or wherever you're talking about the show. It's everyone else. They want to talk about it, but they don't know anything. Like there's certain people, they just want to be in the know of everything. So that's why they have to write the shows like Goo Goo Gaga. Let me help the dumb viewer that doesn't want to watch the past seasons and stuff. So that was what the first 3 episodes of The Pit were there for. It was for Goo Goo Gaga. You don't want to watch season 1. Okay, here are all characters. This is what happened last season, Goo Goo Gaga. And then here's some stuff that will make you interested, like, oh, I can see why people were watching season 1. Yeah, this was pretty tight. Now season 4, it's for us, John, the real season 1 watchers, the one who watched season 1. No more Goo Goo Gaga. No more trying to help us understand that this is what shows have to do nowadays. That's like the sad part about shows.
It's just funny to me also because like Colleen and I have watched the first 2 seasons of Stranger Things, and now we're so like what we do right now is we're alternating. So we finish an episode of Outer Banks, then we do an episode of season of Stranger Things and a season of Outer Banks, and so we're now going through season 3 of Outer Banks, and we'll be back to Stranger Things for season 3. But no, it's just funny because like I have no idea of what's going to happen in season 4 or 5 and all that kind of stuff with Stranger Things, but it's like the idea that people would not have the patience to just watch something is just kind of funny to me.
No, dude, John, when you watch the final season of Stranger Things, you're going to be like, why are they explaining shit like so in depth and stuff? Like, what is the point? They're doing it because there's people that have never watched the show and they just want to be in the loop. Or there's people who, let's be real, most people stopped watching Stranger Things after season 2 or season 3. Like those are like, there's a lot of people. I'm one of those. I stopped after season 3. I was like, oh, I'm good and stuff. I checked out season 5, but I watched a recap of season 4, so I knew what I was missing and stuff. The only full episode I watched was the one where Vecna Oogly Boogly shows up and running up the hill and stuff. Like that's it. But like season 5, it's like, the way it's written is just so much for the people that are lazy and don't want to watch the full show. So we have to be told what we have to be held accountable because there's Goo Goo Gaga babies that just don't want to like. And a lot of people will say, well, guys, you guys are wrestling fans. They do this all the time. There's a difference. Wrestling happens every single week. Every single week. There's no breaks. They have to explain stuff to us because then otherwise we're going to be lost into certain storylines that are going on. That's why they recap stuff for us. That's why there's video packages and stuff. And then it's like, okay, the video packages are for the Goo Goo Gaga people that don't watch every single week, that are just like, why is this happening? well, here's the breakdown of the show, and then they play a cool music and then stuff, and you're like, oh.
That being said, I did appreciate the recap of Liv Morgan explaining to Finn Balor that she'd been planning this since she joined the Judgment Day. I did appreciate that from Raw.
Yeah, well, because maybe people stopped watching at a certain point, and then they're rewatching it during WrestleMania season, and that's why they have to do that, because it's a weekly television show where there's a bunch of different things. Stranger Things comes out like every 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, and stuff. Like the cast outgrew the ages they're supposed to be. That's how long it took to produce this damn show. And the thing is, the way they wrote season 5 was literally like goo goo gaga. Oh, okay, we got to help these people. That no, these people should not be rewarded because they didn't want to watch season 3 and 4. No, stop trying to. And that's what Pitt did for the first 3 episodes, where it was literally like, oh, you didn't watch season 1? We have a nice big recap of what happened, but if you're not sold yet, let's beat down the storylines to your head so you know why this character doesn't like this character, and stuff going on. What happened, yada, yada, yada. And then now it's like, okay, we had enough interesting plot point. Are you not entertained? This is what we do. And then later on, yeah, exactly. They did enough for the viewer that, didn't watch season 1. And now it's like, a lot of shows do this now. It's not just the Pit. A lot of shows do this now because it's just unfortunate where we're at with television, where people don't want to binge watch, don't want to actually get invested in shows. They just want to be part of the it show. They just want to be able to talk about what's hot and what's trending.
Which is why, not to pat myself on the back, but it's why I appreciate the fact that I am the kind of person where I'm like, I want to wait for a show to be over before, because then I can watch it at my pace. I can, I can do that. Like the only reason why, I know that this next season of Outer Banks that comes out probably summer, is going to be the last season. So I'm like, all right, cool. I can watch everything that came before, and then on the day that it comes out, I can watch it because I know it's the end. It is the end. The only show that I don't do that with is Bridgerton, because Bridgerton's just like, it's
really
the
good
shit. Like it's fucking amazing. And it's also contained. That's the other thing, is that each season is its own story. And there are things that branch from season 1 to season 2 and so on and so forth, or there are callbacks, and something from season 1 may affect season 4. But for the most part, it's contained. So yeah, but when we're talking about this one, I did really like this one because it does have a lot of that seriousness. It does set the tone for a lot of things that we're going to see throughout the course of this season, especially when it comes to Santos, especially when it comes to Al Hashimi and Robbie. And especially as it comes to Robbie and Langdon, because there's an argument that if Al Hashimi had not tried to override Robbie and bring Langdon from triage into the ER, Robbie would have continued to put his foot down and be like, yeah, we're not letting that motherfucker in here. And we won't, that affects the entire season. So there's a lot from this episode that is kind of like building blocks for the rest of it. And you could argue that, actually, if it's not for Al Hashimi overriding Langdon, we don't get a lot of the Langdon Santos stuff that's been building this past few episodes. So this is one of the more pivotal or crucial episodes. I think it was kind of the idea where they looked at it and they were like, hey, we got 15 episodes. The first couple, we just get people acclimated again to the Pit, do a couple things here and there. We set a little bit of the stage, but once season 4 or episode 4 hits, once we get through the first 20% of this season, that's when we're going to start ramping it up. And we start to see that with this, where there's more things happening, there's more interactions happening, and we're building towards something that looks like it could be like immediately. As soon as you see the MRSA thing, you're like, oh shit, this could be some really bad thing, and what's going to happen with this. So a lot of fun things to talk about, a lot of fun things to get to, but that's going to be future times, future what's it called, future shifts where Chase and I clock in for the Pit. But before we get to
we're talking up our lunch, man. We owe lunch.
Before we get to that, Chase, tell the people where they can find you throughout the course of the wide world of the internet.
Yeah, you can follow me on X at ChaseLauber68. I probably won't be on too many Around the Point streams. Unfortunately, it's inventory season at my retail job. And, I'm getting pulled to work at other stores. So I'm going to be working a lot of scanning inventory to make sure everything is good. It hurts when you're too good at your job, and and you know all the other managers because you've done all the charity events, so they just like you from that, and then they're like, "Can I get Chase? Is there any way I can steal Chase?" And my boss is like, "Don't want you to steal Chase. Chase is on my store for my reason and stuff. Like this is my title. Don't you dare take this champion." Like, oh yeah, she been getting hit up. She's like, I swear, like every other email is like, "Hey, I was wondering, we're doing inventory if we could borrow Chase for this shift." And she's like, "I need Chase. Like, what are we doing here?
Who's gonna
Like,
do my inventory?
who's gonna do my work? Who's gonna run my store?" Like, it's like I get it. Like, I'm with her though. Like, I'm like, I would be annoyed too because it's like, hey, this is one more my more valued workers. You guys are trying to steal him for
It does
1 or
feel
2 days.
it does feel nice to be wanted though, doesn't it?
No, yeah, no, it's cool. It's cool. It's just annoying because I have to go to all these different stores and I don't know the layout. Like, I'm like, oh, gotta learn the layout.
And if you guys want to catch, speaking of being wanted, if you guys want more throughout the course of your days and weeks from the True Heel Heat Sports Entertainment channel, there's a lot you can catch up on. There's the 50 Cent versus Ti that Sid and I did for True Headphone Heat. There is True Heel Heat Check 26, where Sid and Chris were covering Bam's 83 points. There's also Sid and I just did Ghostface ranking for Scream, all of the Ghostfaces throughout the course of the Scream series. And there's, of course, all of our Scream reviews and things like that. And you can catch me here with Chase covering the Pitt. And when enough news builds now for the NFL, he and I will reunite for true off season. I'm sure we'll be reconnecting as we get closer to the draft and kind of finalizing draft boards.
We should talk about Jalen Waddle for a little bit. That's exciting for you, right?
I mean, yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily like a full,
No, I'm talking about right now. We can talk about Jalen Waddle right now. Like,
oh no, this is the Pit. We gotta. The Pit is the Pit.
Oh,
we got it.
We're clocked out for lunch. I just want to know, did you like the trade?
I like the trade mainly because I don't think that there's anybody that they'd get at 30 that would be better than Jalen Waddle. And the other thing is, like, really all you lost was a first and a third because you got back Miami's fourth for your fourth. So you actually moved up in the fourth round. If in the second round there's a linebacker that's good to kind of just learn under Stranad, learn under Alex, that'd be great. And then they won't have a third round pick. But if one or both of those fourth round picks, they go like running back and then offensive line in the fourth, I think that's like they've done what they need to do. And there's going to be running backs that will drop into the fourth, like the top of that fourth round, like whether it's Emmett Johnson, Mike Washington, potentially Jonah Coleman. So it just kind of depends on who you like. And maybe you move up. Maybe you take those 2 fourths and you move up if somebody like Jadarian Price seems to be dropping or something like that. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I will say Jalen Waddle's history of concussions does concern me. He does tend to be going to the blue tent a lot. But hey, sometimes you got to swing. And sometimes swing and a miss, sometimes it's swing and a hit, but you don't get those opportunities unless you swing. So they got to do what they got to do.
I think it fits Bo Nix's play style, big arm, big speed, love it. I like the pickup for you guys.
And for somebody like Cortland Sutton, this just makes his job so much easier. For somebody like if your 3 wire sets is Waddle, Court, and Pat Bryant, this is amazing because like you trust Waddle more than you trust Troy Franklin right now, and Pat Bryant and Cortland Sutton. I know Sutton's had some issues with drops the past couple of years, but generally speaking, has a really good catch rate. And Pat Bryant is looking like Cortland Sutton of old when it comes to being a catch specialist. So, but that will do it for us, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you all for tuning in, whether you're watching live, whether you're watching on demand. We want to thank you once again for clocking in with us. And until next time, remember, take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll catch you all later. Yeah, man.